Hello everyone, welcome to New Wealth Japan. I'm thrilled to have you here today. This channel is dedicated to helping travelers from around the world discover and experience the very best of Japan. From ancient temples and historic castles that have stood for centuries, to the vibrant world of anime, unique Japanese souvenirs, and incredible cuisine that will tantalize your taste buds, we cover it all. Japan is a country where tradition meets innovation, where you can enjoy a traditional tea ceremony in the morning and explore cutting-edge technology districts in the afternoon. It's this beautiful contrast that makes Japan so fascinating. We're passionate about sharing hidden gems, travel tips, and cultural insights that will make your Japanese adventure unforgettable. Whether you're planning your first trip or you're a seasoned Japan traveler, we've got something special for you. I'm truly grateful that so many people from all corners of the world share this passion for Japanese culture with us. Your enthusiasm and curiosity inspire every video we create. So sit back, relax, and let's explore Japan together. Let's get started.
Today, we're diving into a really powerful story. It's about how a country figures out who it is, especially when it's being squeezed by forces from the outside and torn apart by conflicts on the inside.
And that's really the big question, isn't it? This is the puzzle at the very heart of our story. We're going to see how one nation tried to juggle these two huge opposing ideas at the exact same time, shutting the world out while also expanding within its own borders.
So to really get this, you've got to picture two completely different worlds, basically living side by side. Way up in the north, on the island we now call Hokkaido, you have the indigenous Ainu people. They had their own incredible culture, their own traditions. And then down south, you have mainland Japan, which was doing everything it could to lock its doors and throw away the key.
Okay, let's set the scene. We're talking about 17th century Japan. And it's a nation that is, in a lot of ways, living a total double life.
So first up, let's talk about the Ainu. For hundreds of years, they thrived in Ezochi, this huge northern frontier. They had their own rituals, their own trade routes, a way of life that was completely their own. They were not Japanese, or Wajin, which is what they called the people from the south. They were a separate people, a whole different world.
All right, now let's jump south. The folks in charge of Japan, the Tokugawa shogunate, this powerful military government, they're looking out at the rest of the world, and they are getting seriously paranoid. They see European empires spreading their influence everywhere, and they're thinking, we absolutely cannot let that happen here. And this right here, this quote is pretty much everything. One single sailor bragging was all it took to confirm their absolute worst fears. For the shogunate, Christianity wasn't just a religion, no way. It was the tip of the spear for colonial conquest, so they decided to slam the door shut, hard.
And this is where the story gets really interesting, because we see this massive contradiction. As Japan is building these huge walls to keep Westerners out, it's also pushing its own control outward, right into the lands of the Ainu.
The shogunate did not mess around. They moved fast. First, Christianity gets banned. Then they make it illegal for any Japanese person to even leave the country. And finally, they kick out almost all Europeans. They made just one tiny exception for the Dutch because they figured the Dutch were only interested in money, not in spreading their religion. The doors to Japan were now officially bolted shut.
So you see the double standard, right? On the one hand, Japan's policy towards the West is get out and stay out. But on the other hand, its policy towards the Ainu is all about colonization. They basically outsourced the job to a powerful family, the Matsumae clan, giving them total control over all the trade happening in the north.
And that control, well, it just got tighter and tighter over the next couple of centuries, almost like a vice. It started with a trade monopoly that cut the Ainu off from everyone else. Then that turned into really exploitative systems. And when the Ainu finally had enough and rebelled under a leader named Shakushain, they were crushed. By the 1700s, their economic freedom was basically gone. They had become forced laborers in their own homeland.
But you know how it is. No matter how high you build your walls, the outside world is eventually going to come knocking. And for Japan, that knocking was about to sound more like a battering ram.
At first, it was just some Russian ships spotted up north. Then, an American ship, the Morrison, tried to open up trade and got shot at for its troubles. But the real moment of truth, the one that changed everything, came in 1853. That's when Commodore Matthew Perry sailed his squadron of steam-powered warships, the infamous Black Ships, right into Edo Bay, which is modern-day Tokyo.
This quote from Perry's official orders tells you everything you need to know about the American mindset at the time.
You had steam power, the gold rush. The U.S. saw its expansion across the Pacific as just inevitable, manifest destiny. From their point of view, Japan wasn't some far-off, isolated kingdom anymore. It was just the next stop on the map.
And just like that, it was over. After nearly 200 years of this carefully crafted isolation, Perry's show of military muscle just completely shattered it. The shogunate looked at these modern warships and knew they stood no chance. They had to give in.
So, opening Japan back up wasn't some gentle, smooth transition. Oh no, it was a massive earthquake that brought down the entire government and sent the country spinning into this huge identity crisis.
The moment it all really changed was November 9, 1867. The shogun handed power back to the emperor. And just like that, 265 years of military rule gone. This kicked off what's called the Meiji Restoration, and it was this frantic, almost desperate scramble to modernize and become more like the West, no matter what the cost.
And in this mad dash to catch up, something really wild happened. Suddenly, everything that was traditionally Japanese was seen as old, outdated, even embarrassing. The whole country got swept up in this craze for anything and everything Western, because they truly believed it was the only path to survival.
I mean, the scale of this was just staggering. People were actually suggesting they cut down the ancient trees around the imperial palace. A famous temple pagoda was nearly sold off for scrap metal. Can you imagine? Priceless art was being sold for next to nothing, and the traditional artists, the people who had been the keepers of this culture for centuries, were left with nothing. Japan was literally about to throw its own soul into a dumpster.
But just when it looked like Japan's ancient culture was about to vanish, a counter-movement started to bubble up. And it was led by a very, very unlikely pair.
You just couldn't make this up. On one side, you've got Ernest Fenollosa. He's an American professor who comes to Japan to teach Western philosophy, but instead, he just falls head over heels in love with the traditional Japanese art that the Japanese themselves were throwing away. And on the other side, you've got Okakara Kakuzo, this brilliant Japanese thinker who is making the case that, hey, we can be modern without completely erasing who we are. So together, they started using their influence inside the government. They traveled all over the country, going to these ancient temples and shrines, and they started this massive project to identify and catalog the nation's most important works of art. This wasn't just some art history project. It was a full-blown cultural rescue mission. And what they started became the foundation for the whole system Japan has today for protecting its national treasure.
When you look at artifacts like these, you're seeing the very things that were almost lost forever. It's thanks to the work of Fenollosa and Okakura and all the people who joined them that countless treasures like these, things that could have been destroyed or sold off, were saved for all of us.
And that really leaves us with one last big question. This story from 19th century Japan feels incredibly relevant right now, doesn't it? As our own world keeps changing and our cultures are influenced by everything from everywhere, it forces you to stop and ask, what are our treasures? And what are we actually doing to make sure they're saved?
And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed exploring this part of Japan with us. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps us reach more travelers like you who love Japan. And here's the most important part. If you haven't already, please subscribe to New Wealth Japan and hit that notification bell. By turning on notifications, you'll be the first to know whenever we upload a new video. We post new content regularly, featuring different destinations, food experiences, and cultural insights across Japan, so you won't want to miss out. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Do you have any questions about what we covered today? Is there a specific place in Japan you'd like us to feature in an upcoming video? Maybe a particular Japanese dish you're curious about, or a cultural tradition you want to learn more about? Please share your thoughts, questions, and suggestions in the comments below. We read every single comment, and your feedback helps shape our future content. Also, if you've been to Japan before, we'd love to hear about your experiences. Share your favorite memories or travel tips with our community. Let's learn from each other. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of our New Wealth Japan family. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, safe travels, and see you in the next video. Sayonara.